The character of CatNap is both frightening and captivating. He is the perfect representation of how manipulation can turn a lost soul into an evil killer. But was he really that evil? Did CatNap deserve everything that happened to him? Well, if we look a little deeper into the character, we find a lost soul. A soul looking for something he was never able to find.
And keep your eyes open for CatNap. Every shadow and every flickering light is a hiding spot. He always stalks his prey first. He'll take away anything you have to defend yourself, and when you're at your most vulnerable, he'll kill you. CatNap lives for the hunt.
CatNap was first introduced in Chapter 3 of Poppy Playtime as the main antagonist. His reveal gave us a much darker tone to the overall story than ever before. He lurked in the shadows, just waiting to attack his prey. This was a sharp contrast to the previous main antagonists of Huggy Wuggy and Mommy Longlegs, two characters that would willingly walk up to the player at any moment. But CatNap was patient, and his character tiptoes the line of righteousness and religion. There is a reason for this, and that reason changed Playtime Co. forever.
My name is Elliot Ludwig. When you look around at the world today, what one thing do you think it needs more of? I asked around once. Money. I never have enough. Understanding. I can never get any. Faith. The common man has lost it. Each answer was different, and I could perhaps see some little truth in each. But I think each was also missing something. Something simple. You see, not one of them could muster a smile.
During the peak of Playtime Co.'s success, Elliot Ludwig would make a decision that would separate the company from any other toy manufacturer. It would eventually transcend his life's work onto a new level. You see, Elliot believed people were missing one simple thing, something everyone has but forgets to use, that being a smile. A smile is hope, a smile is love, a smile is understanding. Nothing brought more gratitude to his soul than being the reason for a child's smile. He wanted to create a better world for children, one where they would not be afraid. As he said himself,
one where they are protected. After all, this company and its toys are nothing without them. These children deserve to smile, they deserve to love, and they deserve a safe home.
So, in 1976, Elliot made the decision to create Playcare, Playtime Co.'s very own on-site orphanage. This was not only a home for children, but a school, a playhouse, and above all, a place to belong. This was Playtime Co.'s ecosystem beneath the surface. It hoped to bring joy, inspiration, and smiles to all who entered those doors. However, as we'll soon learn, behind these doors were anything but a smile. During the early days of Playcare, the company would bring in orphans from outside the facility and give them a place to grow up. Some would go on to get adopted by outside families. But as time went on, the smartest ones would be chosen for something that would push the boundaries of science. Although, before we get there, Playtime Co. decided to try something new. Around the mid to late 1980s, Elliot wanted to continue the company's success by creating the next big thing. At least, that was the idea. With the millions they made from Huggy Wuggy, they put all of that money into creating the Smiling Critters. These characters are a group of animal friends, each with a distinctive color and symbol they wear on a pendant, and each has a clearly defined personality designed to express the values Elliot believed in. The idea was, any child should be able to find at least one character they really related to and could have a special bond with. So, to make sure the critters' personalities were known by the target market, Playtime Co. embarked on its most ambitious marketing campaign ever, the Smiling Critters cartoon series. The show combined wild and wacky adventures with a strong moral message for its younger audience. Creatively, they were successful, but financially, they were a complete disaster. People did not like the show because of one specific character, CatNap. He was meant to be the calm, reassuring heart of the gang, a character that aids in sleep by providing a warm presence to make you feel safe. Well, this, along with the red smoke he emits that acts as anesthesia. But audiences didn't like how he never spoke, was distant from the others, and how he put the rest of them to sleep at night. Playtime Co. tried to respond to this criticism by pointing out the others wanted him to put them to sleep. However, this only seemed to freak out the kids more. Now, of course, with the creation of these characters came their toy counterparts, their main selling point. Each toy had its own unique smell. For example, Dog Day gave off the scent of vanilla. Although, when Playtime Co. started selling the Smiling Critter toys, problems followed soon after. Problems specifically with, again, CatNap. His scent was supposed to be lavender, but because of a production error, this toy would cause a recall. Parents reported their children suffering from unusual sleeping patterns and intense nightmares when around the CatNap toy. Although never proven, it seemed the scent CatNap was emitting caused these issues. So, in response to the controversy, Playtime Co. announced a recall of the CatNap toys. This even led to them removing it entirely from the promotional material. The production error in question caused each CatNap toy to release not the smell of lavender, but the red smoke, meaning the red smoke from the show was in fact real.
The exact cause of these incidents still unknown, only one thing appears glaringly certain. Your children are not safe with CatNap.
Around 1989, Playtime Co. began to struggle financially. Sales started decreasing and the company wasn't as popular anymore. They didn't want to admit it, but the Smiling Critters were a failure and the CatNap toy issues had damaged their reputation. So they needed something that would bring Playtime Co. back to life while also saving them money. Dr. Harley Sawyer came up with a solution to solve all these problems: the Bigger Bodies Initiative. This proposal was the development of giant living toys that would increase the workforce while also cutting company costs. They wouldn't have to pay the employees when the toys could work for free. Although you can't create living toys without the living. So Playtime Co. began hiring scientists to conduct experiments that would combine the living with toys. An organic hybrid, human anatomy inside a toy. However, finding someone to willingly give their life for these experiments would be difficult. They needed someone where no one would know they were gone. A person with no family. What better candidate than an orphan? So with their own on-site orphanage, Playtime Co. had an endless supply of lives to choose from. Free pickings for their experiments. More specifically, they used the lives of innocent children for the Bigger Bodies Initiative, and only the smartest ones would be chosen. That being said, of course these Smiling Critters were used for these experiments, but more specifically, CatNap, as he had a special job. Meaning the orphan chosen for CatNap had to be special and was none other than Theodore Grambell. Born in 1983, Theodore was one of the many orphans that called Playcare home. But Theo was different. You see, he was a troubled orphan, always presenting juvenile behaviors by getting into trouble and not listening to staff. This bad attitude carried on throughout his time at Playcare, which caused concerns from his counselors. He was antisocial and didn't have any friends. It was clear Theodore needed professional help, but Playtime Co. was not equipped with the proper tools to help a troubled mind like his. He was a lost child looking for direction, and he would ultimately find it. But this direction did not come from Playtime Co. Rather, it would come from something hidden in the shadows of the company. Theodore would develop a relationship with an imaginary friend, or at least that's what the staff thought it was. While lost, vulnerable, and needing direction, the prototype would find Theodore and take him under his wing. A troubled mind is very easy to manipulate, so the prototype took full advantage of this. The two would develop a friendship that would shape Theodore's fate for the rest of his life. At the demand of his newly found friend, Theodore would start to do things for him around the factory. Things like sneaking into counselors' offices looking for files. Whenever Theo got caught, he would just blame it on his imaginary friend. After all, he didn't know its name and no one knew the prototype existed. These antics would continue, and the prototype kept encouraging Theodore to sabotage Playtime Co. any way he could. This gave Theodore direction, something he had always been missing. One day, the prototype decides to use Theodore to help him escape. He instructs Theo to open a maintenance store in Playcare using a stolen GrabPack 2.0 with a green hand attachment. With guidance from the prototype, Theodore attempted to open the door, as it required 2 people. However, because Theodore was so young and had very little understanding of how to operate the GrabPack, he ended up getting electrocuted by the GrabPack's hand. The electrical current stopped Theodore's heart. This left him lifeless. Now, with an open door to escape, no backup security measures, no alarms, no cameras, no alerts, nothing, the prototype had a free path out the door. But instead of leaving, he picked up Theodore and carried him to Thomas Clark's office. Thomas was Playcare's pediatric doctor, meaning rather than escaping, the prototype saved Theodore's life. This heroic act caused the prototype to get apprehended and his imaginary status blown. It seemed the prototype actually cared for Theodore. At least that's what it looked like. Instead of letting him die, he saved his life. He realized the boy would do anything he asked, and something like this is very valuable for someone as smart as the prototype. Perhaps he quickly decided he had other plans for Theodore. Plans that, again, would shape his future forever. Now, despite Theodore's injuries, his rebellious acts continued. Considering the prototype had been discovered and taken away, it's unknown if he and Theodore were able to make connection again before the creation of CatNap. So, either Theodore continued acting against Playtime Co. underneath the prototype's beliefs, or they made contact and the prototype kept telling him what to do. Either way, the prototype had given Theodore newfound direction, a purpose, and a friend, things he had never had. Theodore would eventually be selected for the bigger body version of CatNap.
Playcare is straight ahead. It's the home of CatNap, one of the smiling critters. There used to be 8 of them, I think. Now it's just him. Playcare is his church, his hunting ground, whatever he wants it to be.
In the initial proposal for the Bigger Body initiative, the experiments like CatNap would be put to work. CatNap's job was to watch over Home Sweet Home. He would aid Playtime Co. in the practice of abducting select children from Playcare for the experiments. In order to do this, CatNap would release a non-lethal but highly potent gas that would cause anyone who inhales it to fall asleep. It was done this way because using CatNap would keep the children at ease and not rouse attention. Instead of seeing a doctor with a sharp needle, they would see a friendly figure and quickly fall asleep without even realizing it. Plus, if any children tried to escape, CatNap could just exhale the red smoke and they would quickly pass out. Now, while other orphans were considered to control CatNap, it was Theodore chosen to take the role. Considering his juvenile behaviors, Playtime Co. wanted to give Theodore a chance to become something special, to become a true guardian for the other orphans. This gave Theo a new start, a new purpose, a chance to put his troubled past behind and be the reason the other orphans smiled. As Elliot Ludwig said himself, "For what gives life meaning if not a smile?" At least, that's what they told Theodore. In reality, he was just another pawn in Playtime Co.'s sinister game. What better way to get rid of a nuisance than to take away its life and put it to work? There is no documentation of Theodore's game station reports, but considering he was able to sneak around the factory, he was undoubtedly very smart. This would of course play a role in the selection for CatNap. CatNap was experiment number 1188. He was the most sophisticated and capable bigger body to date. Scientists continued to learn from their previous mistakes and designed a creature that would truly progress science as we know it. Inside of CatNap was a gas delivery apparatus that had been affixed to the back of his esophagus. This allowed CatNap to exhale the gas at will. This gas was of course the red smoke. It was composed of various undisclosed ingredients, including the notorious poppy flower, which was once utilized for soul transfers. The first tests of this gas were very positive, suggesting sleep under the red smoke not only gives more energy but also improves brain functionality during sleep. Children had shown increased memory retention and better emotional processing of the day's events. This could help them activate their full potential. However, this red smoke did not come without issues. Problems had been observed in a select few individuals, such as intense nightmares and sleepwalking accompanied by unusual heart activity activity, dilated pupils, severe hallucinations, chills, and nausea. Upon inhalation, the person will hallucinate and lose consciousness. While unconscious, CatNap can manipulate their mind to picture whatever he desires. Now, to further the cat-like qualities of his anatomy, they included retraction devices within the paws. This would allow his paws to act the same way as a real cat paw. To maintain the friendly feel of CatNap, he was not outfitted with teeth and was made to always smile. CatNap was also designed to contort to a third of his normal size, allowing him to change his size at will. Directly after CatNap's experiment, an incident occurred that took the lives of many Playtime co-employees. Following his experiment, he was given an adjustment period, but the security team failed to properly secure and lock his cell. This allowed him to break loose and attack the team. It took several tranquilizer darts to subdue CatNap, ultimately costing the team 6 lives, to which he hunted individually. The aftermath of this massacre was like a scene out of a horror movie. Blood and bodies all along the corridors tinged with tufts of purple fur. According to PW, losing people like that was wasteful, and it shows the ignorance of the company. This new bigger body confused CatNap. He was scared and acted out towards the staff, hunting them down like prey. Of course, this was a terrifying thing to experience for him, but he would soon understand his newly given life and come around to being a bigger body with the help of an old friend. 2 months following CatNap's procedure, he was introduced to Playcare, and he took to his tasks like fish to water. He met virtually every one of the objectives staff had set out for him. Despite his rather confusing adjustment period, his mental test metrics were virtually unchanged from pre-operation. The CatNap experiment was a huge success, but when they introduced him to the children, half of them were terrified, and a few even burst into tears. However, as time went on, many of the children warmed up to him. Some even considered CatNap to be their friend. He was gentle, even a bit shy, but the kids found that endearing. Even the ones that were still weary of him at least accepted his presence without fuss. Although there was still one issue with CatNap, that being his relationship with the prototype. It seemed after Theodore's experiment, the prototype continued his relationship with him. It's unknown if Theodore remembered the prototype or if he just found a liking to him again. Now, Ollie implies that CatNap willingly gave up his freedom when the prototype saved his life as Theodore, meaning CatNap owes the prototype his life for what he did. This also means either CatNap remembered what happened to him as Theodore or the prototype told him about it. This is up for debate considering in the past we were told the experiments do not remember their past life. Either way, the prototype is smart and knew exactly what he was doing. If he could manipulate Theodore once, surely he could do it again with CatNap. So he made friends with him again. Anytime they were in a room together, CatNap followed the prototype around like a lost puppy. CatNap was highly impressionable, especially to anything the prototype said or did, and this worried the staff. Little did they know, their relationship would be a major factor in the downfall of Playtime Co.
The following message is for all Playtime Company employees. At 11:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, an unknown hostile force was declared present within the Playtime Company facility. Personnel are to begin enacting emergency evacuation protocols immediately. Leave all personal belongings. Do not engage with any hostile individuals. If no exit path is available, seek shelter in a hidden location. Use blankets or pillows to cover your body, and remain silent. Do not look through any windows. Do not open doors for any individuals. Do not make eye contact.
On August 8th, 1995, the Hour of Joy took place. This was an act of rebellion from the toys onto Playtime Co., a massacre that took place across the entire factory, targeting both the guilty and the innocent. The prototype had devised a plan to get revenge on Playtime Co. for the evil acts they were committing, that being stealing innocent lives for their own gain. But the prototype could not do this alone. With the help of CatNap, he would convince most of the other living toys to take part in the slaughter. Some resisted, and the ones that did were killed by CatNap. The prototype was able to convince CatNap to do his dirty work for him. Just like Theodore, CatNap obeyed every command from the prototype. During this massacre, CatNap can be seen scouring the location for any living humans. After it was over, the toys took the bodies deep underneath the factory to feed on them for years to come. But eventually, this food supply would run out. The experiments, now desperate and out of options, began to turn on each other for substance. That being said, any spare toys left behind would be taken and grafted onto the prototype to build himself up, with of course the help of CatNap. This would continue for the next decade until the eventual return of the player in 2005. Throughout Chapter 3, CatNap can be seen lurking in the shadows stalking the player. Or rather, CatNap was stalking his prey, something cats often do before they attack. But with each new door opened inside the facility, a new secret was discovered, and the player was getting a little too close to the prototype. So he instructed CatNap to take care of the problem. It was his job to stop the player from reaching him. Of course, CatNap obliged without hesitation.
Hey, did you see the shrine? CatNap made it for the prototype. See, before CatNap turned into CatNap, I guess there was some pretty serious accident. He almost died, but they say that the prototype saved his life, giving up his own freedom in the process. In CatNap's eyes, the prototype is a superhero and has saved this place. So CatNap treats him like a god, killing everyone that opposes him, us included, if we're not careful.
Inside the caverns, the player comes across a shrine filled with toys, bodies, and other items that are in the shape of the prototype. They watch as CatNap crawls in from below and begins to pray. This was built by CatNap to represent the prototype, a structure devoted to him to show CatNap's appreciation. This reveals that CatNap sees the prototype as his god. CatNap even said himself the prototype will save them all.
Is his, voice thingy still broken?
It's unknown if this was the prototype's plan all along, to convince CatNap to worship him. Considering none of the other toys viewed the prototype as a god, it seems this was just CatNap looking for a purpose. He developed a religious belief fueled by direction, a lost soul, and desire. To CatNap, the prototype was someone to look up to, someone to give him direction. So CatNap considered the prototype to be his god, and would do anything to please him even if it means giving up his own life. At the end of the player's final encounter with CatNap, he jumps down from the ceiling vent. The player shoots him with a charge grab pack, which electrocutes him and quickly engulfs him into flames. As CatNap rolls around trying to distinguish the fire, the prototype drops his hand down from the vent. At first, CatNap cowers in fear. However, the prototype turns his hand over with his palm up. This was not an act of kindness. This was an act of desire. The prototype wanted CatNap's life. In the prototype's eyes, CatNap failed him. He failed to stop the player. And like I said before, CatNap owes the prototype his life. The prototype never truly cared for Theodore, therefore he never truly cared for CatNap. Yes, he saved his life, but this was because he knew Theodore would be useful down the line. Like I said before, he realized the boy would do anything he asked, and something like this is very valuable for someone as smart as the prototype. His plan was always to manipulate CatNap and use him to his advantage. This gave Theodore or CatNap a false sense of direction, a false sense of purpose, a religion built on lies. Unbeknownst to CatNap, in his eyes he knew what he had to do. He could have ran away, but he didn't. He came to his knees and offered his life to the prototype, sacrificing himself to his god for what he thinks is the greater good. CatNap gave his life for what he believed in, a purpose and a reason, something he never had, when in reality he was just another pawn in a much bigger game. After all, ignorance is bliss. There are obvious parallels with Theodore and CatNap. I mean, they are the same person. Both were heavily influenced by the prototype, which led to disaster. Because of the prototype, Theodore almost lost his life, whereas CatNap in fact died. But as we just saw, it's much deeper than that. The prototype persuaded CatNap into thinking he was a god, more specifically, his god. He would save them all, save them from the pain, and save them from Playtime Co. So much so, he convinced CatNap to give his own life without hesitation. The prototype took a damaged yet innocent soul and manipulated it for his own gain. All CatNap, rather Theodore, wanted was guidance, a purpose, but instead he was met with death at the hands of his supposed god. That was CatNap's full story. How do you feel about it? Do you like the CatNap character? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like horror game content like this, please consider subscribing. Also, I just made a Discord server, so if you want to chat with me, I recommend joining. And if you want to support the channel more, you can become a member. Don't forget to follow my Twitter at TerrifiedT. Thanks for watching.